Guys, what's going on? What's going on? I hope you guys are well. Hope you guys are staying safe. So guys, I wanted to talk about something. Terence Crawford is a guy that gets a lot of stick about his resume, about his career, about, the fights that he chooses, about, how his career is. Let me take this cap off. How his career is basically going along. Everyone thinks that, he's cherry picking, he's not fighting the best. He gets a lot of criticism. He just gets a lot of unnecessary stick. And the welterweight division, all the guys on the other side, Al Heyman guys are fighting one another. Terence Crawford's been alienated. He's not getting the fights. He's frustrated. He talks about the fact that Pacquiao and Spence don't want to fight him. Their teams are not interested. When you're in a desperate situation, I feel sometimes you need to take desperate measures. Terence Crawford right now, for me, is in a situation where I feel he doesn't get the credit that he deserves of what he's done in boxing. I think the undisputed, I know people say, well, who did he fight to become undisputed? He's a 3-weight world champion, and to be honest, he's done it very emphatically in the sense that he's outclassed outclassed everyone he's been in there, and he's won well, which very few people are able to do. Like, people go on about Josh Taylor, fighting tougher competition, but Josh Taylor fought Victor Postal, and that was a very close fight. Terence Crawford fought Victor Postal before him when he was undefeated, and he absolutely took him apart. But he doesn't seem to get the credit for that. And Josh Taylor seems to get credit because he fought him, in early on in his career, which I think is nonsense. Crawford obviously showed that he was levels above Postal, whereas Josh Taylor wasn't able to show that. Okay, that aside, Terence Crawford now is in a situation where the welterweight division is tied up. Everybody's fighting each other, and he's being alienated. Terence Crawford could do a number on everybody and basically shut everybody up, right, with this fight that I'm going to talk about. And I've mentioned this fight before. At 154 pounds, Jermell Charlo is about to become undisputed. In my opinion, he beats Brian Castano. No disrespect to Brian Castano. I believe Jermell Charlo is a special fighter. Terence Crawford could take the jump up. Although Jermell Charlo is a lot bigger than Crawford, I believe Terence Crawford's skill and talent could take up to that weight. He could definitely go up to that weight. And if he was to go and fight for the undisputed 154-pound championship and beat Jermell Charlo, he basically outdoes everything that Spence has done. Outdoes everything that anyone's done. And basically shuts up all the critics good and proper. Like I said earlier, desperate measures sometimes need desperate moves. And that would definitely be a desperate move by Terence Crawford. Daring to be great. Terence Crawford would be daring to be great. Terence Crawford would be daring to be great. He'd be doing what Khan did against Canelo, what Brook did against Golovkin. He'd be daring to be great. Against not undefeated because Jermell's been beaten, but he'd be doing it against a guy that would be the undisputed 154-pound champion. A big puncher, a big dude. But Terence Crawford, if he was to pull that off, oh my goodness. Terence Crawford would put himself into the history books. He would be undisputed in 2 weight classes. Talk about putting yourself in the Hall of Fame in style. He would be undisputed. Surely that should motivate Terence Bud Crawford to go up there and do it. And I believe he has style to beat him as well. He may even go into the fight as an underdog. But I believe Terence Crawford has the style to give Jermell Charlo a very, very hard fight. And most importantly, I think Terence Crawford is long enough. I think Terence Crawford will fill out. I think his body is one of those where I think it will fill out. Now, some people may say Terence Crawford has gone as far as he can go. But if he can't get the Spence and Pacquiao fight, then why not jump up and fight Jermell Charlo? I'm pretty sure Jermell Charlo would be interested in that fight because Jermell Charlo, although at 154, there's some good fighters, there isn't any big names there. What I mean by that, there ain't some huge names where he's going to make a lot of money. Terence Crawford would give him a huge payday. So I personally think Jermell Charlo would be interested, and Jermell Charlo would look at it that this guy's a smaller man, I'll knock him out. So I believe Jermell Charlo would jump at the opportunity to fight Terence Bud Crawford. So I personally, my personal opinion is Terence Crawford should dare to be great. And once Jermell Charlo becomes the undisputed 154-pound champion, Terence Crawford should jump up and look to take on Jermell Charlo. Because that would be a monster fight. And that would, like I said, shut all the critics up. No one can say to Terence Crawford, you're cherry picking, you're doing this, you're doing that. That would shut everyone up good and proper if he was to manage to go up there and beat him. And remember, look at his legacy then. He'd be undisputed across 2 weight classes. Terence Crawford would have done something that, wow. That all I can say is wow. And I believe he has the ability to do it. That's why I'm talking about this fight. Because Terence Crawford, like I said, sometimes when you're in the situation, when you need to prove yourself, and not to say Terence Crawford hasn't proved himself, but to the public, I believe he has the ability to beat Jermell Charlo. That's why if I thought Jermell Charlo was too big and he couldn't beat him, then I would say, you know what, he's too big. Charlo's too big for him. I don't think he is. I think Terence Crawford could beat him. I think Terence Crawford's long enough, rangy enough. I think he would cause Jermell Charlo all kinds of trouble. I do. I think he would cause Jermell Charlo all kinds of trouble. That's why I like that fight for him. That's why I really like that fight for him. I don't know whether if he becomes a free agent, how easy that fight will be, because I don't believe Terence Crawford is big enough to go by himself. He may be able to work with different networks. So if he wants that Jermell Charlo fight, because I know him and Castano are gonna fight soon, so that could be a fight which could be made. And I personally think Jermell Charlo will jump at the opportunity. I believe Terence Crawford should jump at the opportunity, because I believe he should believe that he could beat him. And I listen, like I said, I think the reason why I'm talking about it, because I think stylistically, I think Crawford could give him trouble. It's a dangerous fight. Listen, Charlo could knock Crawford out. There's no doubt about it. Charlo could knock Crawford out. But I just like that fight. I think Crawford could give Charlo all kinds of trouble with that switch hitting style. I think he's more versatile. I think he's faster. I think he's sharp. I think he has, although he doesn't have huge punching power, especially at 154, I think he'd have enough pop to keep, Charlo, get Charlo to, respect him. I think that would be a great fight. I think it would be a 50-50, or maybe Charlo might be a slight favourite. I think Terence Crawford would be an underdog in that fight, and that would be a chance for Terence Crawford to prove his greatness, prove to the world how good he really is, because right now people think he's a hype job. They think he's fighting nobodies. I don't think so. I think the guy's got skills like anything. But sometimes I believe when you're that talented and you can't get the fights you want to get, sometimes, you've got to jump up and dare to be great. And like I said, I don't think he'd be taking a stupid risk. I think it'd be a calculated risk. A risk that could go wrong, but a risk that could definitely reward him big. Because if he was to beat Jermell Charlo, let's not forget, he'd be a former undisputed 140-pound champion and an undisputed 154-pound champion. That, for his legacy, would put him on another level to Spence. He'd also be a 4-division world champion as well. And then undisputed in 2 weight classes, which, oh my God, that would be incredible. That would be incredible. So, like I said, I think Terence Crawford, that would be the fight that I think he should target, because I think Jermell Charlo would fight Crawford in a heartbeat. I do. I think he'd fight Crawford in a heartbeat, because, like I said, I don't think the opportunities are there for Jermell unless he moves up to middleweight. But surely, if the fight gets offered to him at 154 against Terence Crawford, that would be his biggest fight to date, his biggest payday to date. And it would be a fight that he would be interested in, because it would be a huge profile fight against a smaller guy who he would be confident that he knocks out. And for me, it's a winnable fight for Jermell Charlo. And it's definitely a winnable fight I believe it's a winnable fight for Crawford as well. I think Crawford has the skills, the switch hitting ability to cause Charlo all kinds of trouble. And that's why I'm talking about it. That's why I'm talking about it. I think it's a great matchup. This has been a fight that has been talked about. It got talked about, then it went down the wayside. People stopped talking about it. But honestly, I would love to see that fight. I would love to see Jermell Charlo and Terence Crawford. I think it would be a great, great fight. I would love to see it. I would love to see it. I don't know what you guys think, but it's a fight I would love to see. Without question. Without question, it's a fight I would love to see. Is it going to happen? I'm not sure. But like I said, it's one that I want to see. Without question, it's one that I want to see. So hopefully this is a fight that maybe in the future we might get. We may not. You know, it's just one that I've put out there because I think it would be a great fight. I definitely think it's a great matchup. I definitely think it's a great matchup. I definitely think it's a great matchup. And one that I would like to see. Honestly, I would love to see it. I think it makes for a great fight between two great fighters. You know, and I don't think the size difference. I think the size difference would be big, but I don't think it'd be that big as what people would think. I think Terence Crawford, although he's a smaller guy, moved up. I think he fits. Like, you wouldn't say now, looking at Terence Crawford, that he's a small welterweight. Right? He looks good size. He's fighting all these guys, and he looks good size to all of them. So to me personally, I think I personally love that fight. Honestly, I love that fight. I love that fight because I think it's a great matchup. I genuinely think it's a great matchup and one that I would like to see. Do you think Terence Crawford could move up to 154 and beat Jermell Charlo? Could he? Or do you think he's too undersized? Do you think he's too small? Do you think Jermell Charlo would knock him out? We have seen vulnerability in Crawford. We have seen him hurt. Would Jermell Charlo be a step up too far? Or would it be a fight where Terence Crawford would show the world how good Terence Crawford really is? Is it a fight where Terence Crawford would show his versatility and show people how great a fighter he really is? Leave your thoughts in the comment section below, guys. Let me know what you think. And guys, remember to please like, share, and subscribe to my channel. I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace.